Hello, Holyoke Public School community. This is Anthony Soto, your superintendent. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be creating a few short videos to spotlight some important work going on in the district. Thank you to all of those that have tuned in to Together for Holyoke and regularly reading our bi-weekly newsletter. We wanted to do a little something different this time and dive a little deeper into some of the important work that we have going on around instruction in Holyoke Public School. And I'm joined here today by Jackie Glasheen, Holyoke's own Jackie Glasheen, longtime HPS employee, teacher, principal, and now the executive director of school leadership. And we are going to be spotlighting the work that she does as well as Sarita Gravlin, who's not here with us today. Jackie, what is the executive director of school leadership, and what is the focus of your work, and how does that role impact students and instructional outcomes?
Thanks for asking that. I feel like we use the term EDSL, Executive Director of School Leadership, often, and people don't know what that is. We named a few years ago that part of our struggles were we had fabulous principals who were managers, but we never trained them up on what strong instruction looks like. And while many of them were strong teachers before they were principals, we didn't have common language. So through our work and a grant with the Barr Foundation, we have been working the past 3 years to build the instructional leadership of not only our school principals, but our assistant principals and our instructional coaches.
Great. And I know that the EDSLs, the EDSLs, they meet with our principals and school teams weekly or bi-weekly. What does it look like in one of those visits?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a standard agenda. Sarita and I meet weekly. We look at our own school data. We look at what our leaders are doing and where we can support them. And we create agendas that are similar but not the same. We differentiate based on the school, but a standard EDSL agenda is about 2 hours a week in a school. We start by looking at data. We look at student data. We look at our walkthrough data. We look at outcomes on recent tests. It might be priority standard assessments, interim assessments. It might be just class student work from the class. And then we go into classrooms. And our goal is to ensure every student gets proficient on the lesson that's taught. So we start by looking at what are the students doing? What are they producing? And we'll ask the teacher, what would you like to see them do today that'll let you know they're proficient? And then we go back and we look and we see how many kids are there. And if they're not there, we say to the teacher, hey, how can we support? What can we do to help you get the kids to proficiency? There's a lot of feedback. I'm giving the principal feedback. The principal might be giving the teacher feedback. But it is 100% in service of giving the teacher what they need to get the kids to proficiency. After we do that, we go back to the principal's office and we have what we call one-to-one time. Because there's a lot of things that the principal does that might not be directly tied to instructional leadership, and maybe they have some problem solving they want to do with us, so we always reserve time just to have time with the principal.
That's great. And I heard about this HPS Playbook that we developed over the summer. How does that support the work that you guys are doing and that the principals are doing?
I'm a big sports fan. I know you are too. And a coach is never going to go to the game without having an idea of the plays they want to run. And we know in a strong school, you have to have a strong opening. Kids have to have clear systems in place. So we write a playbook over the summer in conjunction with our principals that say, a really effective school, how does it run and what are the plays we're going to run? So we write a playbook, and I'm gonna be generic and say, in the first 30 days, we're just creating routines for kids. How do they go to the bathroom? What does it look like when they're doing student work? How do they talk to each other? What does discourse look like? And then we're gonna get into some planning. How do we plan really strong lessons aligned to our scope and sequence? And in those lessons, what's the most important thing kids need to know? And really help hone teacher skills on and looking at a lesson and saying, that's the do not pass go moment. I have to stop teaching if they don't get that part. And then, how are we developing a system for looking at the data? What are kids outputting? So we have some data meetings and we run protocols on that. And so throughout the school year, there is a clear focus on what are we focusing on now and why is that in service of getting kids to proficiency by the end of the year. So we use our playbook and we coach our leaders and our secondary leaders, assistant principals, and expert teachers on running that playbook, and that's what EDSLs will use to guide their agendas throughout the year.
Over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about relay. We're doing relay, or the relay work. What can you tell us a little bit about what that is and you know what the impact is on student learning?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it all the way back. Relay is a graduate school, for sure. And we partnered with them, and they have some really strong professional learning specifically for leaders. But Relay takes their work from the work of an author called Paul Bambrick Santoyo, and he's written several books, Leverage Leadership, Driven by Data, and he's also written a book called Getting Better Faster. And using his research and what he has done to build schools, specifically schools in high poverty areas and who serve students whose voices are not often heard. And he's had some really great success. And what he names is we need to ensure that there are strong instructional practices that happen in every school, by every teacher, by every leader in every school in your district. And we've adopted those. So it's really not relay, it's really setting a foundation to say, in every school in Holyoke, kids can be sure and families can be sure that students are going to get assignments with really clear directions. They're going to have opportunity for discourse. They're going to be sure that their teacher is monitoring their work and giving them feedback in the moment to change the course of somebody's learning. Those are just some examples. But I've been here a long time, 34 years in September, and we've done a lot of good work. And I've seen good work. I've seen good work in schools. I've seen good work in classrooms. But in my tenure here, I've never seen a time where HPS can say, you can be sure that these high quality instructional practices are going to be happening, whether you go to Kelly School or Lawrence School or McMahon School. And we're not doing these because it's relay, and we're not doing these because we owe anything to relay. We're doing these because it sets kids up for success, it sets teachers up for success, and kids have a higher opportunity to become proficient on that lesson.
That's great. So fair to say we can stop calling it relay, and this is
this
just
is how we do
HPS
school.
Instructional practices and
this is
how we
do
develop
school.
our leaders, how we develop our teachers, and what we expect to see in classrooms.
Yeah, and I would hope that, you know, our staff and our families don't want us to make stuff up. We want to do our research. We want to ensure that we have evidence that whatever instructional practices we're choosing actually work and there's data behind it, especially in districts like Holyoke. And that's how we chose our partner. And that's how we chose our instructional practices.
Great. You mentioned you've been here a long time. I've been in education a long time. And I see so many people doing so much amazing work, working day in and day out, putting blood, sweat, and tears into the work. And then we get our MCAS results, and it feels like a punch in the gut. And then people always question, like, what is it? Why is that? What is it? Something we're doing wrong? Is it these instructional practices? Are we focused on the wrong stuff? What would you want to say to those people?
Yeah, I don't believe we're focused on the wrong stuff. I believe when I look at high-performing districts and schools across the country, across our Commonwealth, one thing that I notice that high-performing schools have is they have high-quality curriculum, they're data-driven, and they have continuous learning for their teachers. And they're consistent. So they're consistent with those three things. And in my experience in Holyoke, we haven't always been consistent. And we see a new curriculum and we say, oh, well, that'll work for our kids. Or we see a new partner and we're like, no, they've got it. And I feel strongly, and as I know you feel strongly, we are on the right course. We are doing the right work. Our academic team is the strongest that it's ever been. They're providing us with the tools for high quality instruction. And we've named what these foundational instructional practices are, and we have to stay the course. Change doesn't happen overnight. It takes 3 to 5 years. It's gonna happen, Anthony, and I know it is, but we need to stay the course and not be swayed by, you know, the new thing flying by.
Lastly, what are you most proud of this year, Jackie?
Oh, geez. I can speak for my partner, Sarita, we are most proud of our principals. We have principals in this district that have been here a long time. They are continuously learning and they are 100% student-centered. And this work is not happening without them, and we definitely have the right people in the seats. I'm most proud of our work with the academic team and Rebecca Thompson. As the executive director of academics, she has transformed that department, and the people on her team are collaborative, they're responsive, and they continue to build Sarita and I's capacity around curriculum and assessment. So without that collaboration, we couldn't do this work. And I'm super proud of our kids. They're resilient. They come every day. They're eager to learn. We have to differentiate and scaffold and make the learning accessible for our kids, but they're the best part.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Jackie, for showing the community a little bit about what you do. I appreciate all the work that you do. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As I said, we got a couple more videos that we want to do. You mentioned Rebecca Thompson. Rebecca Thompson will be joining us in a couple of weeks and talking about her work and some of the work that she's been doing. And we've had a strong focus on early literacy, and we just got an exciting new grant that we're really excited for, and she's going to come in and join me and let the community know what that's all about. Thank you.